Hey guys, so a couple of disclaimers before we begin. Number one, everything that I'm about to say in this video is 100% based on my initial reactions of the first episode of Batwoman Season 2. What happened to Kate Kane? Okay? My opinions might change by the end of the season. At which case, when we get there, I will let you know if they have changed. Alright? Number two, I am going to be talking about this episode openly throughout the video. There will most definitely be spoilers, so if you haven't seen the first episode of Batwoman Season 2, you might want to stop the video here. You've been warned. Alright, so before we get going, just a little bit of backstory just in case somebody doesn't know, and for the sake of all of us being on the same page. Halfway through 2020, right after Batwoman Season 1 abruptly ended due to the pandemic, it was announced that Ruby Rose, Batwoman, had left the series. Why did she leave the series? So far, we don't have an exact answer. We know two things. Number one, that it was a mutual decision between the producers of the show and Ruby Rose. And we also know that Ruby Rose badly injured her back while filming the pilot of the show. She had to get emergency surgery, which thankfully saved her from being paralyzed. And then shortly after the surgery, she went right back to work. And the general theory is that after going through that experience, she realized that working on a show like this just wasn't for her. And that's actually very understandable. These shows are very demanding, physically, emotionally, and mentally exhausting and demanding to any actor. So apparently both her and the creators thought it was good thing for them to split ways, to part ways. So the question became whether they were going to bring in a new actor to play Kate Kane and just act like it was the same person, or whether they were bringing in a completely new character and having that new character take over the mantle of Batwoman. We got the answer to that just a few months later when it was announced that Javicia Leslie was taking over the role. There was a bit of controversy behind that decision, as that announcement came very, very, very close to the beginning of the Black Lives Matter movement. So the question became whether she was chosen because she was the right person for the part, or because the production team was pandering to subject matter that was in the public consciousness. And I would be lying if those thoughts didn't go through my head as well. So people kept asking me over and over and over again, ERod, what do you think of Javicia Leslie playing Batwoman? What do you think of her in this role? And my answer was always the same. Guys, I don't have an opinion. I can't have an opinion until I see her do it. Until I watch the first episode with her as Ryan Wilder, the new Batwoman. So, Sunday, January 17th, 8 p.m. Eastern, on the CW came. I checked out her first episode, What Happened to Kate Kane, finished it, and it was very underwhelming. Yeah, very, very, very underwhelming. And it wasn't just her. I don't want to come across like I'm just picking on Javicia Leslie. I don't think anything in this episode worked very well. And the things that did work was stuff that had already been established in Season 1. But if I could pinpoint the main issue with this season premiere, is that it needed to play like a pilot. This episode needed to play like an episode that would potentially sell the show to a network and an audience, that would convince them, that would instill confidence in them to continue watching the show. This episode did not do that. Everything about it came across like it was produced with the same resources, the same schedule, and the same money that they are allotted for just any run-of-the-mill episode of the season. And more than likely that was the case, but it really should have played like a pilot. It really needed to. They really needed to convince the audience to keep watching, to garner as much interest as possible to commit to this show. And this episode was not that. It needed to play like a pilot. It needed to play like the first episode with a new doctor from Doctor Who. It needed to play like that, and it did not. And like I said at the beginning of this rant, it was underwhelming. And the one scene that I feel is the perfect metaphor for the level of underwhelmingness for how disappointing this episode was is the scene where Tommy Elliot is searching through the Batcave for the Batmobile. He keeps blowing holes in the walls of the Batcave looking for the secret hidden chamber where the Batmobile is. And when he finally finds it, and we're so excited, we're waiting for the smoke to clear. We can't wait to see the Batmobile that's been teased since the Elseworlds crossover with Flash, Arrow, and Supergirl when Flash asked Kate Kane if he could ride in the Batmobile. We've been waiting and waiting and waiting for almost 2 years to see the Batmobile. The smoke clears and it's just a regular car. It's just a regular black sports car. And I'm sure if you're a car enthusiast, you thought that car was really cool. But being a comic book fan and having high hopes, having preconceived notions for what the Batmobile is, it did not impress. And the fact that the Batmobile from the 1966 Adam West Batman show is more exciting and more impressive than that, and that was a show that didn't have anywhere close to the budget and resources that Batwoman has, that is pretty sad. There's something that I need to get off my chest, something that's been bothering me since season 1 of this show and was a major plot point during this episode, which is that the Batsuit is not the fucking Iron Man armor. It doesn't magically turn whoever wears it into an unstoppable badass. It should make whoever wears it bulletproof, fireproof, laserproof, and able to survive a plane crash, okay? What makes Batman great, what makes whoever wears the suit great, is themselves, okay? What people love about Batman is not that he wears an unstoppable suit or has amazing gadgets, or even the abilities. It's the fact that he's human. The fact that he doesn't have any special powers. The fact that he's not indestructible, yet still runs into danger head first. The fact that the creators of the show don't fucking get that and have over-glorified the suit as being this amazing shield that if anybody puts it on, they're unstoppable, godlike, superhero type being, tells me that maybe they don't fucking get this character at all. And that's just the tip of the iceberg of what was wrong with this episode. But the biggest sin was the way they handled Tommy Elliott's storyline, okay? Because whether or not you gave a crap that there was a new Batwoman in this episode, I guarantee you that one of the main reasons why you tuned in to watch this episode, one of the main reasons you tuned in to check out Batwoman Season 2 was because of the big-ass cliffhanger at the end of Season 1. Or the abrupt end, the impromptu ending of Season 1, where Tommy Elliot takes on the persona of Bruce Wayne. We were going to see a version of Bruce Wayne on this show, which was something we were told was not going to happen. And one of the main villains of the show was impersonating a major character, a major player in the series. This is exciting. Batman, Bruce Wayne, is the biggest, most popular, most famous character in the DC universe. Everything about this implies that it's going to be a really big deal. And the storyline ended like that during the climax of this episode. They just took that big thing that got us excited, that got us interested, that got us to come back, and they just threw it in the garbage during the climax of this episode. Sorry, but that was beyond stupid. I expected this to be an arc that went on through the first half of the season, or at least through between 2 to 3 episodes at the beginning. And for them to discard this in such a nonchalant way felt annoying. It legitimately pissed me off that they created such an amazing build-up to something and then just discarded it. And nothing about it was any good, by the way. Nothing. We have a character, a villain, who is obsessed with Bruce Wayne, who desperately wants to be Bruce Wayne. That's his main motivation, to either prove that he's better or take over the man's life, to have the man's life. Alice gives him the gift of being Bruce Wayne. She, boom, wish granted, you're Bruce Wayne now. And the guy royally sucks at impersonating Bruce Wayne. He is the absolute worst at it. The guy who's obsessed with him, the guy who's fantasized all his life about being Bruce Wayne, cannot play Bruce Wayne in any way. He's just carefree and happy and smiling all the time in front of everybody. I know that Bruce Wayne has a faux persona that he uses to fool people into thinking he's this relaxed, dumb, lazy billionaire playboy. I know that, but in front of Luke, and he knows that Bruce is Batman. That's the other thing. But in spite of the fact that he has that knowledge that he is Batman, it doesn't matter if he's in front of, Kate's dad, Luke, Julia Pennyworth, all of them, he acts like the same happy-go-lucky, yay, he doesn't come anywhere close to being that guy who saw both of his parents murdered right in front of him when he was 7 years old. It's pretty pathetic. Alright, that's enough of that. Let's get to the main event. Let's get to the main topic of this video. The reason you're watching this video. What did I think of Javicia Leslie as the new Batwoman? I think she's an actor with a lot of potential. I think that she looks amazing in the Batwoman suit. I think she can handle the physical demands of the role and all the stunt fighting really, really well. With that said, nothing about her performance throughout this episode instilled any confidence in me to see her as a lead. And that is the main thing that the creators of the show needed to convince us of during this episode. I think it was stupid at an offensive level that she had so many scenes, the majority of her scenes in this episode were her by herself. In fact, in some scenes, she was talking to a plant. For an actor to be a convincing lead, they have to be able to take command of a scene. They have to walk into a room with other characters in there and just take over that scene. If you don't know what I'm talking about, watch any episode of Star Trek The Next Generation where all the characters are in the room, but the Captain Picard, is not there. And they're talking, they're relaxing, they're chilling, somebody might crack a joke. Then suddenly, the moment that Patrick Stewart walks into the room, he takes over the scene. The tone changes, everything shifts to him, he takes over, he takes command of the scene. Why? Because he's the fucking lead. And that's what we needed to see Javicia Leslie do in this episode, and not only did she not do it, but she didn't get a lot of opportunities to do it. Acting opposite to, it doesn't matter how good of an actor you are, acting opposite to a plant or nothing will not show that. And the few scenes that she did share with other characters, the other regulars in the show were pretty much commanding those scenes, telling her what was what. So as of now, as I am recording this, I don't see her as somebody who's worthy of being the titular character. I definitely see her as somebody that could be a character on this show, that could potentially be a good foil to other characters on the show. But the lead, the titular character, I'm sorry, not as of yet. The main character on the show that really takes command of her scenes, of course, is Rachel Scarsden, Alice.
What the hell did you do that for?
For no reason at all.
But that's not what we needed to see here. We need to see Javicia Leslie do it. And that just, it didn't happen. For now, she just comes across as an okay actor. And that's not good enough to be a lead. You have to be an extraordinary actor. Like Jodie Whittaker as the Doctor. No matter what the fuck you think about the new Doctor Who, it doesn't matter. There is no denying the fact that Jodie Whittaker is an extraordinary actor and she deserves to be the lead character on that show. Here, I'm not entirely sure why this girl was picked, other than the insinuations that I mentioned earlier. And I really need to see that as soon as possible. And with a lot of viewers, they only have the one shot. They only have this one episode to prove that, and as far as I'm concerned, they didn't prove a damn thing. Now, here's the million-dollar question. Does that mean that I have lost all faith on this show and that I'm going to stop watching? No, absolutely not. This is just one bad episode that didn't fulfill the requirements that it needed to fulfill, okay? As simple as that. Everybody makes mistakes. The creators were between a rock and a hard place. The first 3 episodes were already written with Kate Kane in them, and I think pre-production already started on at least one of those episodes when suddenly Ruby Rose left the show. So they were in a really tough spot when they made the decision to cast Javicia Leslie and to move forward with a completely different character taking over the mantle as Batwoman. So I sympathize, okay? And then on top of that, 90% of the episodes from season 1 were pretty damn solid, okay? The creators of the show have proven that they can deliver a good, ongoing live-action series that takes place in the Batman universe, a show that's worthy of taking place in the Batman universe. So they deserve the benefit of the doubt, and they deserve a second, third, possibly a fourth chance, okay? I will extend the chances way beyond that. I will completely finish watching season 2, and then when we get to season 2, like I said at the beginning of this video, my opinions might change, and I hope that they change. I want to like Javicia Leslie as Batwoman, but for the time being, I hate to say it, and I hate to be a dick to her, because she seems like a really cool person, but I am not impressed so far. I'm really, really, really not. So when that happens, when season 2 ends, I will do an e-rant on my Patreon page, patreon.com/ERod. If you're not a patron, go to that address, pledge $1. It will give you access to all of my bonus videos, and inevitably it'll give you access to my e-rant, my final e-rant on Batwoman Season 2, in which I will give my final verdict as to how I feel about Javicia Leslie playing this character and how the producers handled it. But for now, I'm just not feeling it. It's not clicking with me. But we'll see. Very soon, I will be doing another first impressions video on the new CW superhero series, on a new DCW series, Superman and Lois. I'm definitely going to check out that show, and I'm going to be telling you right here on my classic YouTube channel what I thought of the premiere, the first 2 episode premiere. There we go. Anyway, so those are my thoughts on Javicia Leslie as Batwoman. Please voice your opinion in the comment section below. Please do so with some stability, alright? Respect each other's opinion. We're all on the same team. Please don't bring any misogynistic or racist rhetoric into the comment section. There's no forum where that is acceptable, especially not this one. Alright, guys? And thank you for your ongoing support and for humoring my silly opinions on TV shows, movies, comics, and other things, because I could not do what I do without you.